to start off with, did anyone have a birthday last week? Any birthdays? Oops. You probably need a hip replacement after that, right? Any anniversaries? No anniversaries. Okay, let's all stand for our fellowship chorus. This is the day. Choir, if y'all want to look on the hymn, it's 571 if you don't know it, but anyway, because it's probably going to come up back there. Anyway, go ahead. Now go ahead.
Excited to be here. Well, okay. I'm excited to be here. Hopefully you are too. We've had a good morning so far, and hopefully you had a good Bible study in our Sunday school classes, and look for a good day. And we're just glad to be here to worship together. I've got a card I want to read. David gave it to me last week, and I apologize because I stuck it in my pocket. Got home from church and thought, what was that in my pocket? Oh, that's that card I was supposed to read last week. I know y'all never do that. Card from Brother David says, Church, thank you for always being mission-oriented and supportive. I thank you for the opportunity to have been your representative on the current mission trip to Fruitland Community Church in Jackson, Missouri. The Lord blessed, and things went really well. Thanks again, Brother David. So we are glad that we're able to do that. And today's a special day because you're going to hear from some other missionaries that were gone this past week in New Orleans. So you'll hear from them in a few minutes. Deacons, we will not meet today, so just make sure everybody knows we're not meeting today, but we'll have discipleship and worship service tonight at 5 and then at 6, and so encouraged to be here for that. Wednesday night is our regular business meeting at 6:30, so and the youth and children have their regular activities. We're going to be pushing back. We talked about doing an event over at the Mims Place end of this month, but several different circumstances. We're going to push that back to the fall, and so we'll just be listening for information of that as we get closer and get it all settled. We'll let you know exactly when we're going to be doing that. The Alabama Baptist State Board of Missions will be doing a training conference on August the 5th and 6th, Friday evening and Saturday morning over at Shaco. And it's called The Pinnacle, and it's for if you are a leader in any way, shape, or form, teaching Sunday school, if you'd like to teach, discipleship training, deacons, different things. I have a lot of different sessions. If you would like to go, please see me as soon as possible, and we'll get reservations made. I will be going, and love for some of you to go. We'll spend the night, we'll reserve rooms and all that kind of stuff, but we just need to know pretty quickly so we can get our rooms and everything registered. And finally, many of you know, and some of you have already gotten connected with Right Now Media. It's an organization ministry that they do online video Bible studies. There's about 20,000, a little over 20,000 Bible studies that they have. We use for small groups. You can use them personally. But everybody in the church has access to it. All I need is an email address from you. If you haven't gotten an email invite, let me know and I will get you connected to that. I had a discussion with our what do they call it? Consultant. Couldn't think what to call them. Our consultant this past week, and so we can add those in. So if you have not gotten an invitation by email, get me an email address and I'll get you hooked up. If you have not checked your email, and you know I have one of your email addresses, check your email. And you may have to check your spam or junk folder just to make sure, because a lot of invitations went out. And so I encourage you to do that. Are there any other announcements that we need to make?
Brother Sean, the nominating committee and the department heads will meet in the fellowship hall Wednesday at 5:45.
All right, Wednesday at 5:45, the nominating committee and department heads will meet as we get ready for the new year. Be praying for them. And we'll have our prayer time in a few minutes. But be praying for them as they start their work and trying to get ready for the new church year, which will start in September. But we'll meet at 5:45 in the fellowship hall Wednesday afternoon. Anything else? Be sure and pick up a bulletin for our prayer list is on the back, which we'll talk about in a few minutes, and then also other ministry activities. 1 Timothy chapter 4, verses 11-13 says, "Command and teach these things. Let no one despise you for your youth, but set the believers an example in speech, in conduct, in love, in faith, in purity. Until I come, devote yourself to the public reading of Scripture, to exhortation and teaching." We'll hear from some of our young people here in just a little while, and you pray for them as they come and share. And we look forward to hearing from them. But we all should be an example of what God has done in our lives, to be an example to others. And so I encourage you with that word this morning. Let's pray together and then we'll worship. Father God, thank you so much for this morning. Thank you for everyone that is here. God, we thank you that you promised you would meet with us. And God, we claim that promise now. Lord, as we meet together, as we meet with you, Lord, may you change our hearts. May you transform us and help us to worship you in spirit and in truth. We love you and we praise you in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay, come on, ladies. Y'all stand with us as we worship this morning.
And to God be the glory. Page 28 in
praised.
Amen.
God that is alive. And we ought to be overwhelmed with the fact that we do serve a God that is in control. We talk about Him and things and just having the peace and the knowledge of knowing that He has everything handled. In our world today, we see a lot of stuff going on, a lot of troubles, a lot of heartache, a lot of difficulties. Yet God is using His people, His church, to complete His work. And so it's an exciting thing to think about, that I don't have to worry about it because it's all Him and not me. Amen. This morning, as we go to a time of prayer, I just want to encourage you to be praying. We've got quite a few on the back of our bulletins, our prayer list, quite a few folks listed there. Let me call your attention to a few that I know that are maybe some special needs this morning. Of course, remember, continue to pray for the Brandon Smith family as we had his funeral Friday, and so pray for them. Sandy Raspberry, who is the wife of Danny Raspberry, pastor over at Ebenezer Baptist Church, had a mild heart attack. Potentially we say that mild heart attack. Is there any such thing as a mild heart attack? I don't know. They're all serious as far as I'm concerned. But pray for her. She's doing well, my understanding is, but continue to pray for her. Pray for Andy's dad, Mr. Lawrence, and his family, Sharon and all them. Pray for Kay Smith. She was supposed to come home from the hospital, but I'm not sure. I haven't heard definitely for sure if she has.
Came out of the house yesterday, doing good.
Okay, good. I saw her the other day and she was doing better. They weren't quite ready to release her, so I'm glad she got home. Continue to pray for Hudson as they continue to see about him. Pray for William Keith, pastor over at Collins Chapel. William has got to have some surgery this week. He's going to be out of the pulpit for an extended period of time. So pray for Collins Chapel. Pray for him as he has this surgery on his neck and back, I think it is. We got word Craig Robinson, Judy's husband, is sick, so pray for him. Pray for Evie. Brother Evie's having a procedure done Tuesday, and so pray for him. He stayed home today just to make sure he didn't get exposed to anything, and so pray for him as he has that done this week. And one that we just found out, Marcetta's first cousin, Eric Stanfield's in the hospital, and so pray for him as he is there with some problems and diverticulitis type things and stuff, so pray for him. Are there others that you would mention this morning?
Remember Derek Whitley?
Yeah, Derek Whitley, they're in the process of delivering a child. I don't know if it's as we speak, but today. So be praying for them. Any others?
I think Miss Carolyn's not feeling good, is she?
Yeah, Miss Carolyn's not doing well, so she's doing okay. I just got a word from Tracy, but she's doing okay. But pray for her. She wasn't feeling well this morning.
Pray for Miss Marcia Evans. She's already on the prayer list. We visited her the other day. She's having surgery tomorrow.
All right, Marcia Evans is having surgery tomorrow. Any others? All right, let's go to the Lord. Father God, again, we come to you this morning and we lift up these requests to you. Lord, you tell us to come to you with our needs and our requests. You tell us to come with confidence. God, we come to you knowing that you are God that is reigning, you are living, and you care about us. Lord, we know that you love us. And God, I just pray that for all of these folks that are ill, those that have lost family members, those that are ministering to, those that are sick or facing troubles, Lord, we just pray that your will would be done. We trust you and have faith that you will work according to your plan. And God, we just pray for healing. Pray for strength and peace and comfort where that is needed. God, we are so inept many times on what to say and how to say it and what to even ask for. But God, we know that you see all, you know all, and Lord, we just know that you will work. And God, we just pray that you would do that in these lives. Help them know your presence. God, we just pray that as we are able and here in our community and our family, help us to be people that would encourage, that would strengthen, that we would be there to help support those that are sick and those that are struggling. God, again, we thank you for this morning. Thank you for being with us. Lord, we just pray that you will bless this time as we hear from some folks that were doing some mission work this week. And Lord, we just pray you bless them as they come to share with us in just a minute. Father, thank you so much for your love, for your salvation. It's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen. This morning, let me just say, I meant to say it earlier, I know we've had some technical issues. I'm not sure if the storm got some stuff, whatever, but I know that Kathy and Katie and Marshetta have been scrambling, trying to make things work. There's something up there now anyway. If you've never sat in that chair back there, you need to thank God for people that do over the years. And, you know, as we do technology and stuff, it's a great help, but it also creates interesting challenges sometimes. And so they do a great job. Roddy's working and Noah's working, and so we just appreciate them taking care of those kind of things. This morning, Jason and I talked, and we had some of our students, 2 from here, and I think a total of 29 from across our association of students and leaders, spent this past week in New Orleans at Mission Lab, and doing some mission work and encountering people and sharing the gospel in different ways. And if you've never been to New Orleans, particularly on a mission trip in the middle of July, you ought to try it one time. New Orleans is a great city. I love New Orleans. Of course, Marshall and I had the privilege of living there. I've been on mission trips there multiple times, and so I'm looking forward to hearing their experience and what God has done in and through them this past week. So, Jason, girls, y'all come on and share with us what God is doing.
I'm going to go ahead and let them share it first, because you know, I don't ever have a shortage of things to say. So if I start talking, I'll probably take half of what they're going to say. So I thought it more important for them to go first, and then we'll see what happens after that.
First off, I would like to have everybody give a round of applause for Jason for dealing with us for 4 days straight. Please. But secondly, you get, as you're driving in, you see all these people on curbsides, and it makes you thank the Lord more for what you have rather than taking everything for granted. We have a tendency to take everything for granted more than thanking the Lord for what we have. But one story that one man that we come across, his story stuck out to me the most. I forget his name, I'm sorry. I think it was Robert, yeah. He had been through a lot of stuff. First, he was saved in Pensacola, Florida, around 5 years old. That's what he told us. He had been burned as a child in a house fire. His cousins were playing with gasoline. He was trying to get his mother out of the house, and he got burned very severely. He has been through so much more than we could ever imagine. Every place that he has tried to apply for a job at, he's been turned down so many times because of just his face and his burns. They wouldn't even bother with doing a background check or checking to make sure that he was a good guy. They would just turn him down and say, oh, basically judging a book by its cover, not actually reading the book and then picking that book. He went through a bad relationship. The girl that he was with was bipolar. He dealt with her for 5 years, maybe 6, and he finally ended it. She kicked him out of the house, and he lost everything. days' notice, his job shut down. Or the company that he was working for shut down. Lost everything, and now he is living on the streets, just trying to make a few dollars to even eat anything or drink anything. When we stopped, we asked him, we're like, do you need any food? And the lady that I was with, Miss Brittany, she said, I have some peanuts and trail mix, which one? He's like, either one. So she gave him both because she couldn't decide. He needed it either way. He said the only thing that he had eaten was maybe a crumb, like a bird or something he picked off of, and that was it. Just trying to get by with what he had. After we did that, he was so thankful, and we prayed with him after that. He was very thankful. He kept thanking us over and over again just for the few things that we were able to offer him and pray with him. Most people would say they would just pass him by. And it's very heartbreaking to hear that people would do that, but it's the world that we live in. Not everybody's going to treat everybody the same, and we just have to kind of live with it. But try and help people out where you can. Like I said, it's very heartbreaking, but it's also like what Jason said while we were on the trip. You can't bypass ministry to get to ministry. You can't do that. If you do that, then that's kind of like, well, are you a Christian or are you not? You just don't know how somebody is feeling or what they were dealing with in their life. Like I said, it's very heartbreaking. I know that there's going to be some different stories from Tessa and Jason. And hopefully what we did would help them out more than just giving them a few dollars. And you don't know what they're going to do with the money that you give them, so you try and give them something else other than just money. All of the things that we saw, well, let me say this, you're going to see some bad things, you're going to see some sad things, but then there's another part of the city, you're going to see some happy things. It's kind of like a bittersweet presence that comes over you, and you never know exactly what you were going to get as far as trying to minister to these people. But then again, you try to help them as much as you can because you don't know. You never know how bad their life has been unless you actually listen to them and what they have been through. This man has been through a lot. He's been through some good times. He's been through some bad times. We are all capable of somehow ministering to people, but some people don't understand that and they take it the wrong way. Some people don't, it's a law that they have to go by, that they can't minister to people like that. It's against the law in some places. For me, we all had different experiences, I know this. For me, it was very heartwarming at times. It was a bittersweet feeling trying to minister to people that you never met, and we don't live the lives, some people don't live the lives that other people do, and some people that we met were kind of giving up hope that they had a second chance. But once we come in, they had hope again. God told us to do this, and we did it. We passed our mission, and we still help people. You have to help people in order to help other people do missions, to get more missions, to then succeed at more missions for God. There you go. It's as simple as that. But everything that we see or saw in New Orleans was bittersweet. You just don't know what you're going to come across because there's so many people without things that we have. You never know. It could be somebody living on a street corner, but they still have hope that there is a second chance. And it's like you said again, can't bypass ministry to get to ministry. You can't do that. It's logical thinking. There's no way that you can do that, because then it would kind of be like, I wouldn't say letting God down, but then again you are. But there's no way, possibly. There's so many people who have almost been in this situation, or those situations, that are now thanking God for everything that they have and not just taking everything for granted. I lost my train of thought. That's all I have to say. Is I'm thankful that we got to do what we were called to do. And it's kind of like one of the things that some people say, if at first you don't succeed, try it again. That's all you can do, is you can hope for the best for these people and pray for these people, so that you don't let yourself feel like you were letting them down at all. So, yeah. I'll let y'all take over now.
Thank you, Dad, for dealing with me for 4 days. I know you have to live with me.
It's a lifetime.
It's a lifetime.
By choice.
By choice. But it was an awesome trip, from dance parties in Jackson Square to just meeting new people. One lady that me and Dalen met and worked with was at the thrift store. It was like this rehabilitation program, and she was living there, and she was working there. She was so sweet. And this one story stuck with me. She was sharing her testimony with me and Dalen, and then she got on the subject of how now she uses what she's good at for the glory of God. So like, she's good at like modeling things and displaying things in the thrift store, like on the shelves or hanging something up. And she has this little lamb, God's little lamb, as she likes to call it. And it's a pink little lamb, and on it has a cross that says, Jesus loves you. And like, I like that she uses what she's good at for the glory of God, because I feel like we can all do that. And I feel like we should all do that.
There's a lot that I could share from the trip. Somebody wants to go pick up lunch and bring it back. So we met some people. We didn't get to call some of the things going on, which I guess I'm getting to that point in life where I just kind of roll with the punches. We didn't get to have all the pictures up here. We're going to be playing them as they were talking, but I was kind of looking at it like if God wanted to work out, it would work out. And we'll show those another day. But what I want to share with you this morning is what I feel when it happened. It was a little strange, and I'll describe that. But God actually had something for y'all that I want to tell you about this morning on this trip. And I don't believe this was a coincidence. A lot of people think it's a coincidence or luck or whatever. There's no way that of all the years, of all the trips, of all the places, that we end up being at the same place at the same time with a connection back to this church. And some of y'all that's been here for a long time, as soon as I get into this, y'all gonna know exactly who I'm talking about. So we were at dinner one day there in the dinner hall, and this guy walks up to me, and strange looking guy, I'm just going to tell you. He's got this little hat on that looked like one of those little small rim hats that fold up, kind of like an inspector or investigator type hat. He has a mustache that comes down and wraps back around. like some people call it, the monkey tail. And he had a badge on his belt. And he said, "Are you from Union Springs?" And I said, "That depends on who's asking." Because I immediately thought some knuckleheads had done playing one of those things where you get arrested, you know, and because he was a different looking character. So I stood up talking to him. So anyway, if you want to put that first picture up, if you can get it. Does anybody recognize this guy? Also, he don't have the monkey tail. His name is Joshua. Let me get got him. I didn't think about it then to get a picture with him, but on the way home. So this is a picture of him and his wife, Rebecca, and with their youngest daughter, Eowyn, I think is how you pronounce that. And the next picture that we have is an Easter picture of their oldest daughter, Lainey. She's 2 years old, with the youngest one at the time was four months old. So this next one I think is going to trigger for y'all, a lot of y'all about who this is. Go ahead and show that. Well, I don't think that's it. Going down to this is, well, while we're here, this is his brother, or his sister Anna, and her husband Reese. And then the next one is his brother Luke and his wife Molly. And then the last one is Miss Lake. So this guy comes up to me and he says, you know, he asked me, "Are you with Union Springs Baptist Church?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And like I said, it did freak me out a little bit, you know, because you never know when you're on a group with students and student leaders, they ain't gonna tell what's gonna come. So I thought it was kind of a prank or something. But then as I started talking to him, he said, "My name is Joshua Lake," and he said that y'all prayed for them. This is actually Brian Everson's sister, right across the street. They were missionaries in the late 90s to, I think he said Zimbabwe, and then in early 2000 they went to Kenya. But he said this church supported and prayed for them while they were on mission. And all I could think about this whole, there was a lot of things to share on this trip, from seeing somebody do their business on the railroad tracks, to meeting and talking and praying with people, to helping people. But what stuck out to me the most on this trip is it's like God sent back a thank you to this church. Yeah. Think about that. I don't know if y'all think about that, but the more I think about it, the more amazing it is. To run into this guy in New Orleans, 1 week, he somehow, either he sees the bus or he knows we're there. He is actually at the seminary. He is getting his PhD in theology. Trying to get back to it. And I asked him to send some information and picture. So he said that his mom, Elaine, resigned from the IMB in 2012. She moved to Tulsa in 2018 to help care for his dad's parents. He is currently pursuing a PhD in theology and church history at New Orleans and hopes to graduate in 2026. He also was helping with campus security, which would explain the badge, you know. I didn't do anything to get arrested, by the way. Try not to. His wife Rebecca is a licensed counselor in the New Orleans area. His sister and her husband live in Tulsa. His brother is a high school teacher in Tuscaloosa, and his brother's wife Molly is pursuing a Master of Fine Arts from Alabama. And I just asked if he would send some information, because I thought it was just, I don't know, I told Heath it was like a nugget of encouragement. To know that somebody that so long ago that we would run into while down there. And that's all I'm saying. I don't know how many times or ways I can say it, but it just hit me like it's almost like that was something that I felt like God said this is to go back to them. Because I don't know the guy. I wasn't here. He said he thinks the last time he was here was when he was a teenager. and they, I think, had came and shared, and I'm not exactly sure what all y'all's partnership was with them, but all I know is that was something that God laid on my heart to share with each of you, that somebody that you made an investment in, and now to see them turning around and doing that as well. And it's also the same as this trip. I appreciate you, Damon, by the way, y'all making me sound smart. The whole thing about the ministry is it hit me. The guy was in my group. He's a nice guy. I mean, he's a pastor, but he was really intense when it came to time. And I'm just not that person. And that's kind of where, you know, sometimes it made me realize that we can bypass ministry to get to ministry. We were scheduled to be places, but it could be that although that's what we scheduled, is not what God scheduled. And that's hard to do, because you know you're expected to be somewhere and they're expecting you to show up, and then you have to kind of balance that. But we drove, I think it was Thursday, right, that we went to the food bank. We drove all the way across town, probably 20, almost 30 minutes, got there, and they didn't have us on the books. And that's what we were supposed to be doing all day. So Tyler had another number, and he called, and we went all the way back across town. This was the day we had dropped our bus off because it was making some noises, and I was having it looked at to make sure we weren't going to break down on the way home. And so we were going to be there at all. So he drove us all the way back across town to another food bank. And as soon as we got there, like going there, we were talking about it, how you can get frustrated. And I do that. I know we all do that. When, you know, it's easy to get frustrated when you're supposed to be here. But it just hit me. I told him, you know, I said, we had a plan. I said, but God had a different plan now. We just got to figure out what that is. And we found out what that was, because where we went, I think y'all would agree, was where we needed to be that day. And we worked hard. They worked hard. Some of them was out front. Me and a couple of the other girls were in the back in the warehouse. And it was hot, and that's probably why I sound like I do, because I told them I'm probably going to get the flu, because they had one of those big walk-in freezer, and we were in a hot warehouse, and the lady said they just loaded all that meat in the freezer, and we need to get it out now. And guess who was in there getting it out? And it wasn't no walking in, walking out. I was in there in shorts and a t-shirt with that cold pan, and I was cold, and I was moving some meat, because I was ready to get out of there. It was cold, but we were talking this morning, and I realized this alone. That is really, I told them what fellowship is about. It's having a common purpose, focused on God with other believers. Because half of the people we were with, she even goes to school with some of them, and they would probably never talk to each other any other time. But when you go and serve together, it's like the boundaries drop, and people that would never talk to each other. Everybody got along, and y'all would not only be proud of our group, but the group that represented this county. We worked. They were busy. Nobody was goofing off. And I've been on trips where people don't want to work, and you're constantly, you know, running behind them. And they were. Nobody had to be told, as far as I know, what to do it again, to get on it. There was one boy working in there with us, and I don't know if he was there because he had to be. I didn't see him with the group. He was a young boy. And from the time we walked in, almost the end, he would just be moving from one pallet to another, sitting down, listening to his AirPods, you know, or whatever. He was sitting on one pallet we was trying to load up, and I said, hey, brother, I said, we need this pallet. And so he moved to another one, and he sat between, and he had the worst look on his face I'd ever seen. Like he'd rather be getting thrown in a pool full of sharks than he had been there. And I don't know why he was there, but it's like I told, they all had great attitudes. They served with gladness. Everybody, like I said, rolled with the punches when things, half of the stuff we were supposed to do got changed when we were down there. But we just want to say thank y'all for, you know, it's like me and Tessa was talking. It's hard for them to get up there and talk. I know that, and it's hard for a lot of people. But I said, y'all made an investment. And one, if we go on this trip and all we're doing is swimming in pools and playing around, y'all may not want to continue that investment. But it's good for y'all to hear and be encouraged. I mean, I know y'all are, because I am, by seeing young people willing to serve. They don't realize now what encouragement it is for y'all and all of us. But thank you for praying for us. Thank you for sending us and for the opportunity and the experiences we had. And I want to thank God for helping us make it there and back with no instances. We passed through several wrecks. One was even an ambulance that had the wreck. That was right down the road from another wreck, and I was thinking, if that guy that was in that wreck was in that ambulance and they got in a wreck, that dude's having a bad day. I hope it wasn't, but it was just right down the road from where he was. It rained, but it was funny. Every day we worked, it rained going down there, rain coming back. But every day we worked and people were outside. There was only one day a storm came up, and that was on Thursday. And Tyler came and got us, and the other group was over there, and there was an ugly storm coming over there where they were, and there was lightning popping. And he said they were all outside scraping the house, and they were ready to get in. I said, why didn't you just get them first? I said, we could have waited, because we was in a, so we got back, and I thought this was all, he said, just look for a group of crazy white people running around like they're scared to death. We get there, and his wife and another lady, they just up on the ladder, just scraping along, you know, not a care in the world, with lightning popping back over in the distance. But it was a really good experience. I'm glad that the girls went. We actually had another young lady that rode the bus with us. Her name is Savannah and Grace. They were from Poplar Springs, and also Andrew rode the bus with us, and they were roomed with them, and they were on our team. So we were together all week, and it was amazing to see how they all, because those two girls are seniors and juniors. Obviously, these are younger. Sometimes they don't always work well. Y'all know if you've been around girls and guys sometimes. But they all got along really well, and it was a great experience to be able to meet them. And it may be something, you know, maybe it's something God calls for us to do on a continual basis. Each year, or it may be, you know, something else, but I'm just thankful. There we go, we got some. That's Grace and Savannah right there. See, she's already directing things. Like, you gotta go right. She told people, you gotta go right here. They were handing out the frozen stuff, and I was putting boxes on buggies. And that was solid, by the way, from 11 to 3. They had 3, I was telling some people this morning, I didn't realize it until I walked out of the warehouse to take pictures, which I'm not good at, by the way. Sherry fussed at me, you need to take pictures. I said, I'm busy. I'm working. I mean, it feels bad to stop working. And honestly, I feel bad. You're sitting here taking pictures of homeless people getting food like it's some kind of, I get it, that's not the point, but it's like it's a show or something. I have a hard time with that. But I wanted to get pictures of them. I don't think any picture I had any of the people in it that we were serving. But they had 3 long rows, like when you go to the funeral home and they all line up for the funeral procession. They had 3 of them from the road all the way to the warehouse, which was pretty long, and they were all 3 filled with cars. People would get out at 11 o'clock, they came in, registered, got meat off the pallet. That was our first pallet we stacked, by the way. Thank goodness for grocery store training. That was right up my alley. And they would come through, get meat, get a box, get some other stuff. They go get back in their cars, drive through the breezeway where y'all were, and y'all were doing cases of water,
Cereal, watermelon, milk.
Cokes, y'all had a soft drink. They had several things, so these people were getting some food. It wasn't like they were just getting one little sack. They were loading them up, and there they are up there in the breezeway. So we had 2 different crews going all day long from pretty much 11 to 3, and it didn't stop. You could stop to get a drink of water, but it wouldn't cause the people to stop. So I don't know. I won't go into, but I don't know if anybody has any questions about the trip. They actually brought this up. Am I going to let people ask questions? I said no, because that means I have to answer. But no, I don't know if anybody has a question about anything about the trip. If you do, now would be the time time to ask that? I guess you can ask me anytime, really. I may say, too bad you missed your chance. Thank y'all again for the opportunity, and I want to thank Tessa and Dalen. They volunteered to go. I did not put any kind of pressure trip on them, like, are y'all gonna go on this, or you ain't doing it. I mean, they decided of their own will to go, and hopefully it's something that they'll remember for a lifetime. And I know I will too, but I think I'll finish with this. In one of the services, did you snicker? Oh, I heard somebody snicker. Like, yeah, you want to finish. I'm like one of the preachers that goes another 30 minutes. No. A guy in ministry doing the worship time, something he said really stuck with me because I think we're guilty of it. He said, don't look for a way to do missions, but make missions your way. So think about that a minute. We'll look for trips to go on. We'll look for things to do, and that's all well and good. We go on builder's trips, we go on this trip. There's nothing we did there. And this is the whole purpose they do these for students. There's nothing we did there we can't do here. They did food, they did cleaning up lots, they did light construction, painting houses, they have an adult daycare ministry, they have a homeless ministry, they went to the park, handed out water, and evangelized. I mean, there's like 10 different ministries they have, and none of them really are anything that can be done right here. And that's the whole point, from what I understand, of Mission Lab, is for us to go and to realize these are things you can go back home and do where you're at. It's not like it's some special thing, that you can't do. And we know that there's a need for especially food ministry in this area. And I found, got a good experience of what that's like, seeing the way they do it on a much bigger scale, obviously, than what we probably would, but it helped a lot to see what they did. So I just want to thank y'all again for your time, and thank you for the opportunity to share. And for the girls for going, and I didn't have to put up with them because they were in the girls' cabin, or in girls' room, so I didn't have to deal with them, but I did have to deal with two little boys that ain't even mine, which is always the joy I have, but they were good. We had a good trip, and everybody was really good. Thank y'all for your prayers and for allowing us to go.
Amen. And I'll close with this. Let me say this before I close. After having doing youth ministry for 28 years, I don't know how many students I'd have to go back and make a list that have been involved in mission work, that have become missionaries, have become pastors, youth ministers, all varieties. And one of the biggest impacts was coming from things like this. Getting them out there to be able to see this is what's happening, this is how you do it, and learning what happens. And many of those former students that I have, they may not be full-time ministers, they may not be full-time missionaries, but they continue to have that understanding and that mindset of mission work. John chapter 3:16 says, "For God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish, but have eternal life." That's why we do what we do. God, it's his work. He loves, therefore we must love. He gave, we need to be giving. He gave his only Son, which is the only way that anybody will experience eternal life.
Amen.
And if we don't pass that on, then they don't have a hope. They don't have a chance. And to be able to see, and by the way, Dalen and Tessa, don't worry about if you're up here or whatever, share. People look at me, and I've had a student ask me over and over again, how do you do it? I said, I want you to know that every time I stand up here, I'm nervous. The only difference between one of them and me, or one of you and me, is I've learned to cover it up and control it. That's the only difference. We need to stand up and testify. Tell what God is doing. Tell what God has done. As we close this morning, I'm not going to do an invitation. I'm not going to. You've heard what God is doing in lives, both those and others. Here's what I want you to do this morning as we close. If you'll stand. Turn around and face that door. Go therefore and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, teaching them to observe all that I have commanded you. And behold, I am with you always to the end of the age. That's our commission as we walk through those doors this morning. Heath, will you close us in prayer?